This is probably the 12th time in the past week where I have attempted to record me talking about all this. A couple of times I've had to stop because I get too emotional. A couple times I've had to stop because I ended up rambling or yapping and not making any sense whatsoever. So let's try again and let's see if this one is the one. So first I have to acknowledge that I am aware that the sequence of uploading is very funny. Disappearing for 2 years and then the first video back is not a where I've been or how things are going or an explanation video. It's Kathy Rain playthrough part 1, which is a Twitch stream re-upload. So I do acknowledge and understand that I probably could have done that a little bit better. I probably could have gone out of my way to upload these in an order that is more sequential to how I wanted to communicate with this audience, but here we are. So I just want to say I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that it's silly that this one is coming after the Kathy Rain videos, but it is what it is, whatever. So, for a refresher, hello. My name is Camille. That's what I go by online at least. I'm 28 years old. I'm an Aquarius. I have a fat cat named Mochi. I really like tea and coffee. And I like to do shenanigans online with my friends. So I want to talk about a little bit of why I made such an abrupt departure in the first place. It started with when I was engaged and I was in my long-term relationship with my ex-partner. There were a lot of things going on that, when you're with someone when you're 19 for about 6 years, you kind of don't have any frame of reference for what a healthy adult romantic relationship should look like. And if you've also been surrounded by unhealthy adult relationships exampled to you by your parents or adults in your life, you also kind of never really get a hold of, oh, this isn't what this should be. This relationship is not what I want and could be better. I realized that a little bit too late when I was 25, 26 and engaged. And after a lot of planning and thinking and communication and help from other people, I ended up getting out of a not so safe and not so fun relationship, canceled my engagement, and had to cancel a wedding. Now, that in itself was quite a toll. But, to sum up, 2 years worth of trauma and shenanigans and other things that I've had come my way. I'll summarize it. That ended an engagement, canceled a wedding, lost a best friend, lost my grandmother, lost my grandfather, and as of the most recent thing, which happened last year, was my mother passed away. My mother, who was the coolest person in the entire world. And this is usually where I start to get too emotional that I can't finish the voice recording. But that kind of really set me on a path where I lost a lot of joy, excitement, and motivation to do most things. When my mother had passed, I had just started my dream career, which I still work at now. I love my job. I won't go into too many details, but I have a wonderful job and I love it so much. And losing her was probably one of the worst things, if not the worst thing that's ever happened in my entire life. So I started to, shrink away from friends and hangout sessions and gatherings and holidays and, any of my hobbies and stuff I enjoyed, drawing, creating YouTube videos, streaming, none of it. And I really, it just took a while for me to be a person again. And after I learned how to be a person again, it took even longer to learn how to do anything I enjoyed again. The the intense depression and loss that really taints everything you love and enjoy doing. It is an awful thing. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy to go through what I went through, losing my mom. So that's pretty much the overall explanation. I know it's, in less than 5 minutes describing these situations that genuinely did take 2 years out of my life to get over. I would say I'm just now in a space where things are starting to become a little normal again. But even if anyone listening has ever been through grief, you understand that, the person that you are after is not the person you were before. I think about the person I was 2 years ago, and I genuinely think that her and I are complete strangers to each other. But yeah, that's kind of the long-winded explanation of where I've been. The loss has, for a while, all these things happening, these multiple losses just really took over my life. And that's not even talking about the basic everyday human issues we go through. I mean, the state of the world, being chronically ill, bills, just day-to-day human survival. It became so much that there was no room left at all for me to create or be creative or do anything. But I'm extremely fortunate and privileged and lucky to have such a great support system. I had a lot of people who were constantly catching me when I was falling. And if they are listening, thank you very much. And I love you. And, making this video in particular and even talking about the concept of being online in the first place, I start to reach back into why I started doing any of this, which, funnily enough, it was my best friend, during the time of COVID, around 2019, that first lockdown. Our main thing together was playing video games together, and we're childhood friends. I would go over to their house after school. They would play Legend of the Dragoon while I watched, and they explained the lore, and we would pass the controller back and forth when someone died. I stole their Finding Nemo copy on PS2 or PS1, and they would play the Kingdom Hearts game while I tracked all the 101 Dalmatian paw print treasure map poster. And when COVID happened, when the pandemic happened, we realized we couldn't do that stuff anymore as much as we wanted to. All the way up until college, we were still having sleepovers with each other. And when the pandemic happened, we both kind of came to a conclusion of like, there's this thing called Twitch. We both can make accounts and take turns streaming games to each other, and one of us can either be in a Discord voice chat or we can be on a phone call, but we can still have these experiences with each other. And then for me personally, I ended up realizing I liked it. I liked sharing my thoughts about video games. I love talking about lore. I love talking about video games. I love figuring out puzzles as a group, and for me, it didn't end after that. I just kept streaming even when COVID was not over, but lockdown was lifted. I still liked streaming and building a community and talking to people. And then that translated to the same thing to Instagram, where Instagram used to be the main place where you would post art, and I would post my art trying to talk to people, reach to people, build a community. I ended up building a community, and now I have a Discord with, I think of now, 99 to 100-ish people, and it's wonderful. I love it. And then with YouTube, the Creep Show art situation happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many opinions about this. I should make a video about it, or multiple videos, and that the rest is kind of history. The whole reason I started doing any of this is because I like talking to people, I like making connections, and I like drawing in video games. And I forgot about a lot of that over the past, year, I'd say. Every time I tried to return to, I would sit in front of my computer with my hands over the keyboard trying to come up with a new YouTube title, a new thing to talk about, a new thing. And it was just such a daunting task that I I told myself I can't do it. And, with my mom passing, I was the next of kin, the only next of kin in that situation. So I was doing a lot of stuff that I was not financially, physically, or mentally prepared for. And it took quite a toll on me. And my brain did a really bad rewiring where if it was not useful, if it did not complete a task, and if it did not serve someone in some way, it was useless and I shouldn't be doing it. I had done so much work over helping people and being responsible and being the responsible person in that situation that I didn't really allow myself any room to do stuff that I wanted just for the sake of doing it. I was like, well, this is a waste of my time and it's stressing me out and making me anxious, so I'm not going to do it. But I think with the help of a very, very loving, wonderful partner, who I now have, and he's great. I've learned that it's not okay to be the term "it's okay to be selfish" doesn't need to apply, because it's not selfish to do stuff that I want to do just to do it to have fun. Like, that's okay. And you might be listening to this and you're like, yeah, duh, of course it is. I do stuff that's not selfish that I want to do for myself all the time. And I'm like, well, I never really had the opportunity to do that. And that's not really my adopted mindset. So I have worked to try to not be more selfish, but just do things that I want to do because I want to. And there's no other reason not to do them. And another thing holding me back as well is, I get really trapped into, especially after all this loss I've experienced over the past 2 years, is I get really trapped in the mindset of I'm too old, but maybe it's just because I feel old because of everything I've been through. I'm too old to be doing this, which 28 is not an old YouTuber age. I have YouTubers I follow that are very successful or very not successful and just love doing it, that are in their 30s. Late 30s, late 20s, early 20s. There's that famous TikTok gamer, Grandma Gamer, whatever her name is. I'll show a picture in her on screen. But, she is a grandmother and she plays video games for fun and she posts about it online. But there's some sort of, I'm too old, I shouldn't be doing this, and a little bit of shame and maybe embarrassment attached to it, where I'm like, oh my God, what if one of my friends in real life sees this and makes fun of me for it? But, I've kind of shifted the mindset to, well, if I have a friend that is taking something I do online that is not harmful to others and is just fun, and is, trying to make fun of me or hurt my feelings about it, then maybe they're not a friend worth having in my life. And that's something I've had to learn as well. But essentially, there's a couple things that and I know loss has made me think this way, but I think about death every other day at least. It's very far and few apart where I can go a full 48 hours without thinking about myself dying or someone close to me dying. And mostly when I think about me dying, I think about what are some things I really want to make sure I can have no regrets about at the end of my life. I can say, well, maybe I didn't succeed, maybe I didn't go as far as I wanted to, but at least I didn't sit in a ball of anxiety and stress and just let this thing burn up and go away forever. So I'm back mostly to address those things. The first thing is I do want to stream more. It's fun and I like doing it. I definitely want to draw more because it's fun and I like doing it. And I'll maybe talk about this more in the future. I mean, this video might get 100 views. This video might get 3 views. Who knows? But there is a book idea that I have written about, made side stuff about, drawn about. I have obsessed about it since about 2018. So about 7 years. And when you're 18 or 19, you don't have the facilities to write a full novel. But now at 28, I really feel confident in my ability to make this thing happen. I have a book I want to write. So I have a lot of things that I want to look forward to as an adult and in the future. And I have a lot of things that I am hoping to progress on. But it starts here. It starts with talking to an audience. It starts with doing the editing. It starts with processing and uploading the video. It starts here. And I'm going to try my best to make it happen. I can't guarantee that I'm going to be successful. I can't guarantee that it's all going to work out, but I can at least guarantee that I tried my hardest to make it happen. And I had a lot of awesome people in my corner rooting for me, even if there's people out there who are rooting against me. So, with all that being said, thank you very much if you're listening to this, if you're listening to my long ramble about life and things I've gone through. I've always wanted to start a podcast, but I don't know if that's because I actually want to have discussions with people or just because I like talking a lot. I will investigate that on my own time and figure out which one it is. But, yeah. So, if you've been a patient fan forever and now you're thinking, what is this person doing on my timeline again? I appreciate anyone and everyone who has ever been even slightly interested in whatever the hell I have to talk about at any time. So, thank you very much. I hope whoever is listening to this, you are safe and protected and happy and healthy. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.